Yeah. Here you're looking for Salvano.
Long way from Kansas, Dorothy.
I say,
Relax, man, relax.
Kill me, brother, please, don't kill me. Don't kill me.
Hey, why you fucking my friend, man?
A 7-year-old Italian boy named Nico Toscano moves to Chicago with his family and starts a new life. A few years later, Nico and his father attend a baseball game where the young boy watches a martial arts demonstration and falls in love with it. At 17, Nico fulfills his dream by traveling to Japan to study martial arts with the masters, and soon excels in it. At 22, Nico gets invited to a party at the American Embassy in Tokyo, where he is introduced to a CIA operative named Nelson Fox, who soon recruits him into the agency. A few years later, in 1973, Nico joins Nelson and his men as they go on a mission to the Vietnam-Cambodian border. There, after some time, Nico witnesses a high-level CIA agent named Kurt Zagon needlessly torturing prisoners for information and loses his mind in anger.
You're gonna sing for me. You're gonna sing like a choir.
After observing the ordeal for some time, Nico can no longer take it and lashes out at Kurt, which causes an intense altercation.
Nico!
Nelson then calms the volatile situation and helps Nico escape. Thereafter, Nico immediately leaves the CIA and returns to Chicago.
I'll call a chopper in for us. I'll cover this, man. Just get the hell out of here.
There, he becomes a sergeant detective in the Chicago Police Department Vice Squad and marries his girlfriend, Sarah. In 1988, the Toscanos give birth to a baby girl and hold her baptism a few days later, surrounded by their family, friends, and colleagues, including Nico's new partner, Dolores Jax's Jackson. While everyone has a good time celebrating the joyous occasion, Nico finds his aunt worried to death about her teenage granddaughter named Lucia, who has run away with her boyfriend. After calming down his aunt, Nico promises to find Lucia and sets out with his partner. Nico heads to a local shady bar and starts asking around if anyone has seen his cousin, but the men make fun of him. After tolerating this for a bit, Nico's patience runs out and he reacts.
Come here.
Suddenly frightened, the owner of the bar informs Nico of Lucia's location and directs him. Nico heads to the room, breaks it open, and attacks Lucia's adult drug addict boyfriend. Terrified of being sent to prison, the drug addict gives Nico information about an illegal shipment entering the city soon and begs for mercy.
She's banging this big coke lawyer. He told her.
What lawyer?
I don't know.
You don't know, man.
Then, while Jack stays in the car as a lookout, Nico illegally wiretaps Carlos Abandonos' phone. He then obtains the exact time and location of the illegal shipment.
Tuesday, 10 o'clock pickup.
Then, Nico and Jax decide to follow Carlos, who leads them to an infamous Salvadorian kingpin named Tony Salvano. After witnessing Tony's connection to the shipment, the duo wraps up their investigation for the night. A few days later at the meat plant, undercover officers and detectives, including Nico and Jax, wait to intercept the handoff and seize the shipment. As the operation quietly unfolds, federal agents arrive at the site, spook the criminals, and a gunfight ensues. As Tony uses the chaos as a distraction and tries to drive away, to the terror of Jax and his colleague Lukic, Nico jumps on the Kingpin's car and tries to stop him. After a few minutes of driving through the threat, Tony stops the car.
Stop the fucking car!
Tony and his men are soon apprehended. The officers go through the shipment and are shocked to find the contents to be C4 explosives.
C4, my man.
That night, Tony, who's out on bail, complains of his predicament to a dirty FBI agent named Agent Neely, who soon makes sure he's a free man. However, as the drug lord leaves the agent's office with his goons, he's warned by his colleague, Agent Kurt.
I don't want any more problems.
Everything is gonna be alright from now on.
Meanwhile, at the police station, the lieutenant, together with Agent Neely, calls for a meeting and informs his men that since Tony is charged with a federal offense, the case will be handled by the FBI. This annoys the detectives, including Nico, who protest the unfairness of the decision. Hoping to assuage the officers, Agent Neely informs them that Tony has been working in cooperation with federal agencies, reasons that his case must be handled by one, and orders them all to stop any further investigation on the matter and stand down. Ignoring the direct order, Jax and Nico continue discreetly surveilling Tony and his men and are quite surprised when they see him going to a church. The duo follows the criminals inside and is soon met by Nico's parish priest, Father Joseph Gennaro, who informs them that the church has recently been broken into. Then, the father takes the duo to the basement and introduces them to illegal refugees taking shelter in the church and a guest priest named Father Tomasino. A few days later, Nico attends Mass with his family in his parish. At the end of Mass, Father Joseph gives a sermon, and as he proceeds to close the service, a mysterious lady drops a suspicious package and runs out of the church. In the ensuing absolute chaos, Nico is gutted to see that Father Joseph had died in the explosion. In the aftermath, police swarm the area and all the survivors are rushed to the hospital. Anguished by everything, Nico asks Jax to get a list of everyone at the church and to find out where the refugees came from. Then, as he proceeds to leave the hospital, Nico runs into Agent Neely and pulls him aside for a private chat. However, the chat soon turns into an altercation as Nico blames the agent for releasing Tony and implies that the kingpin is behind the explosion. Nico adds that the explosion is caused by C4 and reveals that he had seen Tony at the church a few days ago. However, this backfires and infuriates the agent, who scolds Nico for ignoring his orders to stop all surveillance on Tony and once again warns him to follow orders.
You do your job, I'll do mine. Bank on it, pal.
Meanwhile, Jax heads to the morgue to learn more about the people that died from the explosion and is surprised to learn that one of them, a man named Alan Singletary, is not a member of the congregation and is an aide to a senator named Harrison, who's also on the Foreign Relations Committee. Elsewhere, a group of men approach Nico on the streets and attempt to attack him. However, the sergeant uses his impeccable fighting skills and manages to knock out all but one of them. Seeing Nico's expertise, the ringleader abandons his injured friends and runs for his life. After minutes of fast chase, Nico catches the man.
Kill me, brother, please, don't kill me. Don't kill me.
One night, Nico gets a call from Nelson, who advises him to leave the state with his family and informs him that there is danger lurking around him. However, Nico doesn't take the warning to heart.
Take your wife and family and get them someplace safe now.
Minutes later, a group of officers led by Agent Neely arrive at Nico's house, serve him a warrant, and start searching his house and terrorizing his family.
This is not necessary. This is ridiculous.
They then take Nico to the station and interrogate him about his unlawful surveillance and wiretaps before taking his badge and his gun and suspending him.
You're officially suspended, Toscani. I want your badge and your gun.
Later, Jax informs Nico that the refugees came from Guatemala, El Salvador, and Chile. She also adds that Senator Harrison has been working on identifying the Central American drug connections and has found intel that implicates some of the major intelligence agencies in drug trafficking. Hearing how deep the web goes, Nico becomes concerned for his family and asks Lucat to prepare for a move away, while he and Jax go to the church to speak to Sister Mary and find out more about the ordeal. There, Sister Mary narrates that Father Tomasino had arrived in the country about 2 weeks ago with papers to give to a senator. She then shares her belief that he was the target of the bomb attack, as he was the one who was supposed to give the mass that fateful day, and only changed his mind at the last minute. The sister then adds that he has since disappeared from the church. Then, as Nico heads home, a group of heavily armed assassins appear out of nowhere and approach him. Nico survives the ordeal miraculously, holds the men at gunpoint, and proceeds to neutralize them until a man dares him.
I don't think you can drop us off.
As the locals watch in terror and fascination, Nico orders the men to enter a nearby store, where he proceeds to call in the situation. However, one of the men attacks him unexpectedly, and all hell breaks loose. As soon as he sees squad cars approaching, Nico jumps out of a window and flees the area. He then heads home and sees his family off, while he asks Lukas to protect his family. Nico then visits Agent Neely and forces him to check the whereabouts of the confiscated explosives at gunpoint.
There was a quantity of C4 explosive brought in here 4 days ago.
Nico is then surprised to learn that his friend Nelson has checked the explosives out of evidence. Nico keeps his surprise to himself, abandons Agent Neely on the beach, and continues his investigation into the matter. Nico calls upon his old acquaintance and learns more unnerving facts that leave him more confused.
They all come to Chicago in the last week, and they're all still here.
Elsewhere, as Jax continues to dig into the investigation, she receives a call from a scared sister, Mary, informing her that suspicious men were lurking around the church and shares her and Father Tomasino's current location with her. However, before the detective can get there, Tony, Kurt, and their goons barge into the sister's apartment. They then find the father and prepare him for a chemical interrogation.
And I won't have to use this.
This is from confession.
After being injected, the father accuses Kurt of committing unspeakable human rights violations.
You make the children see.
Meanwhile, Jax, Nico, and Lukic arrive at the apartment building. The men slowly head to the apartment and barge in, just as Kurt proceeds to stab the priest. As an intense gunfight ensues, Nico expertly walks out and injured Lukic while covering him. Hearing the gunshots from the car, Jax rushes to the apartment to provide support, but is unfortunately shot by Kurt. Luckily, Jax is protected by her vest, survives the ordeal, and is treated for her injuries at the hospital, along with Lukic. One day, as Nico surveys Kurt from a rooftop, Nelson sneaks up on him, holds him at gunpoint, and proceeds to order him around. Unfazed, Nico scolds his friend for abandoning his principles and details that he knows everything about their operation.
Chief funnels here through Salvano, company getting its cut, of course. So war is still the greatest business, huh, Nelson?
Then, Nelson orders Nico out of the building while still arguing with him.
Librarians, teachers, doctors, women, children, all dead.
You guys think you're above the law. You ain't above mine.
Kurt, Tony, and their goons soon arrive, and a gunfight ensues, in which Nelson is killed while Tony is injured. After a chaotic chase around the parking lot, Tony falls to his death. Following an intense gunfight and chase, Nico is kidnapped by Kurt and his men.
She's clean. Let's go!
Nico is taken and tied up inside a kitchen of a hotel, which is hosting a campaign rally for Senator Harrison. Then, Kurt proceeds to start his usual chemical interrogation. However, Nico breaks free and manages to kill Kurt and all of his men. Soon, Senator Harris discovers the matter and personally visits and thanks the wounded Nico at his house. He then introduces him to a judge, and Nico starts to give testimony on everything he knows about illegal covert operations of the CIA.